Good day, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. So today I want to go deeper into depression and suicidal thoughts in honor of Men's Mental Health Month, which is June this year, which is June every year. But I just want to talk about it again and really talk more deeply about the cycle of depression and what keeps you there in the cycle of having suicidal thoughts, having depressed thoughts, and how you can actually escape from that cycle. But also for you to understand to escape that cycle, how to escape that cycle, you have to understand what the cycle is and what your cycle is, because every single person is different. So therefore, every single person that goes through the depression, that goes through these thoughts, have a different cycle. So today I'm going to talk about the cycle that I went through and that I needed to understand, and the subconscious thoughts I needed to understand in order for me to actually escape from it, because I need to be aware of the cycle and the thoughts that I went through. So about 8 years ago, I nearly took my own life. And during that season, I was diagnosed with chronic depression by a psychologist. And at that point in time, I isolated myself and I refused help and pretended everything was fine. I smiled on the outside, but the inside I was slowly dying. So at this point in my life, I didn't really understand what depression was. I didn't really understand what I went through at that point in my life, because nobody ever taught me what depression is. Nobody ever taught me how to manage my mind and how to actually get out of the rut, get out of the thinking patterns. So I was trapped in a cycle. And this cycle for me it started with failure. Usually I did something wrong, or I failed at something. I attempted to do something and then I failed at it. And that triggered within me the inner critic that was built throughout the years. I had the inner critic that I built within my mind to actually condemn me when I failed at something. So when I did something wrong, this will then trigger my inner critic. My inner critic will condemn me. And that condemnation actually built and produced shame and guilt within me that actually led me to addictions like gaming, porn, to escape those feelings, to escape the pain. And those addictions created even more shame and guilt. Because now I was stuck in the cycle. I was stuck in the cycle of these addictions, which then led me to actually also trigger my inner critic of, because I was failing. I was failing at, at that point in time. I was thinking I was failing because I wanted to do certain things, but I didn't do it because I was addicted to certain things in my life, like gaming and porn. And the cycle just repeated itself over and over again until a point where I actually almost committed suicide. And I had these suicidal thoughts. But there's one thing that I want to talk about today that solidified that cycle and that truly brought an idea of, this is who I am, this is my identity. And that for me was the music that I listened to. It was the shows that I watched, the videos that I watched, the entertainment I consumed, the content that I consumed that made me feel safe, that made me feel emotional and safe. And as an introvert, it's very easy to get stuck into that entertainment loop where you want to find emotional connection. The same with games. It can also be with games. But for me, it was mostly shows, videos, movies. These things, actually, I made a mental connection without even realizing it. And then because of this emotional connection these forms of entertainment created, I began to identify with the pain, the darkness, and the hopelessness. Without realizing, I made depression feel like my home. So, at that point in time in my life, I made depression my own. I made suicidal thoughts my identity, and everything that was was contradicting to this home, to this feeling, this emotional connection, I push it away because I feel like this is uncomfortable. I don't want to be here. This is not me. And I did it subconsciously. I didn't realize that I was doing it at the time because at that time you're so deceived into the entertainment that you watch and the things, the addictions that caught your eye, that caught your connection, your emotional connection. And so I stopped relating to people who were full of life, hope, and joy. And instead, I surrounded myself with content that reflected my darkness inside my mind, right? And and I and I and I surrounded myself with content that reflected my brokenness. And the enemy, that's what the enemy does. The enemy often disguises darkness as comfort. Something can appear compassionate, understanding, relatable, while actually pulling you deeper into despair. For me, it was like the entertainment, like I said, it was the entertainment that I watched that made me feel safe, that made me feel comfortable with it, even though it truly, it truly was dark underneath. Even though it was compassionate at the beginning, it felt compassionate. It felt like they cared for people and they understand people, and I related to them. So therefore, I was pulling this thing, and I was actually watching it the whole time. And the first time I experienced this was during one of my darkest seasons. I watched the series 13 Reasons Why obsessively. Every hour, every episode, I watch over and again, and I would watch it on the same day. Would watch the whole season on the same day, and the next day I would watch the other season. And I was totally consumed with this series. And you would think that most people would think that after watching this, after watching every episode, I would reach out for help because at the end of every episode, there's a helpline, and that I could call that helpline. But I was so deep into the darkness and so comfortable with my depression and that I completely disregarded that message. I completely disregarded help because it felt uncomfortable to me. It didn't feel like I was comfortable with this. It didn't feel like this was me and I should go out there. So it was strange for me at that time. And I just sank deeper into depression because I had begun identifying with the pain because of these entertainment that was luring me. And it reminds me of a story that I've listened to a long time ago. I can't remember if it was on a podcast or where it was, but I think it was a podcast where he told a story of a snake and a bird that was within the same cage. And the bird was high on a branch, and he would check the snake down on the ground. And at the beginning, the snake was on his own, and he would do his own thing. He would be in his own space. He wouldn't go to the bird and threaten the bird or something like that. He would in his own space. But while the snake was in his own space in a cage, the bird will at the branch he would look at this snake and he would be fast at the beginning he will be cautious. No, he will be cautious with this snake. And he will check the snake wherever it goes because he's cautious. He doesn't understand this thing. But the longer he looks every day, the longer he stares at the snake, every single day, he's changed to curiosity. And he actually started getting truly curious with this snake and actually got closer day by day, hour by hour, until he was actually next to the snake. And that's exactly how the entertainment can can work for us. The same with that. It's a dangerous thing at the beginning. 13 reasons of 13 reasons why it's dangerous at first because it has this emotional connection with depressed people, um, or people that has depression, chronic depression. And at the beginning it's dangerous, so it's far away from you. But the longer you look at it, the more you want to learn and the more fascinated and curious you get with it. The same with the bird. And that's what reminded me of this this season and what I went through with depression. And that is the thing with anything, actually. At first, anything that's dark, every darkness that's around you or that is around you, at first it attracts you in some sense. It attracts your emotional connection. Maybe you have a problem with your, it can be anything. Maybe you have a problem with your father, and there is a show about someone that's a character that's lost his father or something like that, and it can attract you to take you away from God, to take you away from the things of God. So these things actually can hook you in and actually make you stay there and make your problems, your trauma, your stress, everything. It can make your identity until you're part of the darkness, until the snakes around you and the cycle of depression or cycle, whatever you're going through, surround you. It becomes part of you. But I'm here to tell you today that if you're going through this, you are not your trauma. You're not your past mistakes. That's not who you are. That's what you went through. And you can remove your thinking from it. You can renew your mind. And that's exactly what God did to me. At that point in time when I was very suicidal and I almost committed suicide at that point in my time in my life. I almost committed suicide. But God But God reminded me of His goodness. He reminded me of the people that love me. And at that point in time, I turned back to God and I decided to walk with God again. I decided to pray again. I decided to go back to church again. I decided to get help. And God placed people in my life. God placed mentors in my life. And he, he helped me to find the knowledge, find the wisdom to understand how my mind works, how to renew my mind, to actually break the cycle of depression, because I was still depressed. Even after I decided to turn back to God, I was still depressed and I still needed to change. My mind has to be renewed. So God showed me through these mentors, through these books that I've read, how to renew your mind and how actually to break the cycle of depression. And today I'm free of depression. Yes, sometimes I have low days. Everyone has low days. And we're always going to experience low days because this world is full of depression. This world is full of things that to make you depressed. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes. So I want to encourage you, if you're going through this, if you're going through depression, even if you're just starting out, and you are diagnosed with chronic depression. I was diagnosed with chronic depression, but I didn't understand it. That's why I'm here today, to help you get out of it, to help you not go through what I went through. For months, I went through this cycle every single day, and it actually destroyed a lot of things in my life. And I want to encourage you to get help, to start somewhere, to get help, to start somewhere, to ask someone. Even if you can DM me, if you can send me a message or comment down below, just do something. Just start somewhere. It doesn't have to be big. Just say help. Just ask someone to help you. It doesn't have to be me. It can be anyone that you trust. If you trust me, then it's good because I want to help you. I want to help. That's why I started. That is one of the reasons why I started this YouTube, to actually help people through their struggles, through their mind that has these bondages, that has these strongholds upon your life, that is taking away from you the joy, the love, the peace that you can experience through God. And it all starts with God, because I had to give my life to God for me to actually turn back to God again. And it all starts with God. So if you don't know God, you can also start there. You can ask Jesus to save you at that moment. Wherever you are, you can ask Jesus to save you, and He will save you. If you put your belief and your trust in Him, if you put your faith in Him, we all believe in something. Nobody truly knows what the truth is, because not everyone knows everything. We choose what we believe in. We choose what we put our faith in. So I want to encourage you to put your faith in God and to trust that He will help you through this. And maybe it starts with sending a message for help. So if you want to get help, if you are there and you want to get help, you want to get out of it, and you want to live a life that is authentic, that is full of joy, that's full of peace, you can have that. No matter where you are, no matter your circumstances, no matter what happened to you, you can have that life of peace, of love, of joy, of all these things. So I want to encourage you, if you are sick of it, if you're sick of depression, if you're sick of your anxiety and the mind that's keeping you there in the darkness and the cycle that is encircling you and killing the joy out of you, killing the peace out of you, I want to encourage you to start somewhere. Send a message to anyone, send a message to me if you want to, and start this journey. So if that's you, just start. Thank you and God bless.